together by Simon Cowell 7 years ago, pop opera group Il Divo went on to sell over 26 million records. Wow. They're incredible live as well and are in Australia for the Spring Racing Carnival and to promote their upcoming CD and Australian tour, which happens early next year. So please welcome Il Divo! Here, I just want to name everybody. We've got Carlos, Sebastian, Urs and David. Welcome to the circle. It does feel weird that there's four of you. It's like we're in a gang and we're going to have a knife fight soon.
And that lovely sort of more revered height too, which is great.
Now, in the they're a great posture. Now, guys, you guys are very accomplished, very successful. Aussies love you. In the 7 years that you've been together, can you tell us what's changed for Il Divo?
We're older.
Yeah.
The wrinkles.
The wrinkles are there. I know, Sebastian, you've had 3 babies with an Australian wife, which we love you for that.
Melbourne girl, yeah. Australia is really, really dear to us, but especially for me, I have a big attachment here. Yeah. And I love being here. It's fantastic.
And you met her on tour, didn't you?
Yeah, well, no, actually, we were promoting our album, and she's a publicist, ex-former publicist for Sony, and this is how we met. So I've been really lucky, you know, being in his band and meeting the one I love.
Can I ask? Oh, sorry. Can I ask you about the 4 of you coming together? I mean, totally different situation, but there's 4 of us on this show that were sort of plucked from completely different backgrounds, put together, and we were just lucky that our chemistry has worked. Did you have the time? Was that what it was like, though? I mean, was it sincere and unique and you just got along, or did you have to work at getting to know each other?
We had to work a lot, yeah, certainly.
Was it difficult in the initial term? Because, you know, you're put on the stage by Simon Cowell, a lot of pressure, totally different musical backgrounds. How did you work through that? Did you have to sort of sit down and get to know each other's backgrounds and respect where you'd come from musically?
No, we didn't really have time for that either, because we literally met 2 days before we started recording the first album.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. So we immediately got thrown in the deep, and we got to know each other over the past 7 years, working together.
What did that feel like, Urs, to be in the recording studio with guys you didn't really know? Did you sort of look at each other and go, I think this might work?
No. Don't say the truth.
Because you guys are all from... Oh, there we go.
Oh, losing stuff.
Oh, there we go.
That's all these telephones and he's a single one, so he...
That's all the agenda from yesterday, from the Spring Carnival.
All the women getting back to you from yesterday. But how would you compare then recording as the first record?
You mean on this new album?
Well, when you just said about, understandably, when you get together vocally with strangers in a studio, it must be very difficult to compare to your recent album.
Well, it's not really uncommon in the opera world to meet your co-stars, you know, on the first day of rehearsal. So for Carlos and Urs and myself, that's not abnormal. And I think this album, we definitely wanted to go back to that first feeling, that initial feeling of how are we going to do this, how are we going to put this all together. The first album was like the experiment, and the subsequent albums, it was like it got easier and easier and easier to record, almost to the point where it got a little bit mechanical. So we really wanted to take a step back and rediscover that magic again.
David, are you tempted to put on a smoking European accent just to fit in with your hombres here?
Yeah.
Can you do one?
You can do the Australian accent as well, I heard you.
The Australians.
Australia.
No.
I love it. Tell us about your relationship with the opera world, if you can. Opera is your medium, but you don't perform like La Bohème or something like that from start to finish. How are you perceived by opera fans?
It is in a way. I mean, we must say we are quite lucky. I mean, because we have all the support from the opera directors, for example. I mean, some opera directors that I was working with before we started with Libo, they were saying, oh yeah, well, be careful what you're doing. But at the end, they just loved what we're doing because we don't touch the opera. We just sing pop songs, and we just sing with our operatic techniques.
Talking of that, we've got a vision of you doing Wicked Game by Chris Isaak. Great choice.
Do you always bring women just hanging off the top of roofs every time you perform? It's just before.
They just show up for some reason. We have no idea who they are.
That was in America. That's quite fabulous. Yeah. It's one of probably, I think, the best TV we've ever done. After yours, of course, but I mean...
Of course. Yeah. Whose decision was it to cover Wicked Game?
I don't remember who actually had the idea, but it's quite a funny story because our A&R team approached their management and they refused. Said, no, you're not going to cover our song. No translation. Yeah. And so in the end it seemed that Chris Isaak's mother is Italian. And she knows Il Divo, and she likes Il Divo, so she convinced them that under the condition that we do it in Italian, they will give us permission.
That is so great
Wow.
that Chris Isaak said, oh, my mum said it's cool.
Yeah, you go ahead.
You've covered dozens and dozens of songs. Carlos, do you have a favourite?
Of the one that we have covered?
Yeah.
My Way, I would say.
Yeah?
Yeah,
okay.
it's one of my,
Okay.
my standard favorites, yeah.
And when you play live, do people scream out requests? What's the most popular?
We get some.
Very
Giambrone,
long.
they call for
Yeah,
it. Isabel.
Isabel.
Really?
Well, they,
Interestingly enough, they always call out for the original songs. Everybody thinks that we do covers, but all the albums are usually about half covers and half new
yeah.
music. And they always call out for the new music.
You know, one thing I do want to find out, because I'm a stand-up comedian, if we get anything thrown at us, it's usually an insult. But you guys, would anything get thrown on stage from the women in the audience?
It's not tomatoes.
The what?
It's not tomatoes.
No.
It's knickers.
Oh!
You do?
We get knickers a lot. Carlos is something with the knickers.
Carlos then.
It's always easier to blame the others, right?
Do you just pass them over to Carlos? Because
No, because Carlos is a big
I
fan
just keep
of Tom
them just on
Jones.
the wall.
He loves Tom Jones, and he said,
got
you
a
know,
collection.
actually, Tom Jones gets always the knickers, blah, blah, blah. So that's where it came from.
I
And
think
we
you
get
could-
roses.
I reckon, Carlos, I'm getting a Tom Jones vibe from you. I reckon you could do a good Tom Jones impersonation.
Unusual, yeah.
Yeah, sing it. Sing it.
Unusual to be found with anyone.
Would you please put your hands together for the gorgeous Il Divo? All right, audience, throw the knickers now. You can find more info on Il Divo's tour and new album on our website. Thanks, guys. What a thrill.
Thanks,
Lots
Tony.
more of The Circle to come this morning.